love you when it's all said and done. And oh, my darling, I'm so blue because nothing, oh, nothing takes the place of you. And I write this letter. It's raining on my window pane. And I feel the need of you because without you, oh, nothing seems the same. So I'll wait until you're home. Again, I love you, but I'm all alone. And oh, my darling, I'm so blue because nothing, oh, but nothing takes the place of you.
That's Shovels and Rope and J.D. McPherson. Nothing takes the place of you. Now let's get back to our chat with J.D. McPherson.
Bloodhound Rock, man, I love that song. Yeah. That has to be a fun one to play live.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, that's a real fun one. That one was one of the last ones we did, and it was one of those things where it's like I wanted to have something in that sort of rhythm or that cadence. We call it a blues bopper because there's this dance the Europeans do to that. That's like the same as Wolf Teeth, basically. You know, it's like Jimmy Reed, Slim Harpo did a bunch of songs with that kind of... It's kind of boneheaded and like doesn't really swing that much, but it's almost like an implied swing. I don't know. I love that kind of stuff. But that thing was like pieced together like you wouldn't believe, and it was all spliced together, and then we had this intro and outro because one was separate from the other, and then another point they both became one thing. And people probably aren't going to like hearing this, but I mean, we built those drums up. That drum part is a loop basically that's built up from like 3 different drum parts. We did the straight one that you really hear, and then we did another pass of Jason playing the toms that's almost completely the aux send through the echo chamber. So it's not really the sound of the drums, it's the sound of the reverb tail.
Wow.
And then we had a percussion track, and then we had a big kick that we added to it, and we smushed that all together, and that became the foundation for that song. That was actually the most exciting part for me, was really getting to experiment with things like that we hadn't done before. It may also surprise some of your listeners to think that I have a really pragmatic approach to music and recording music. I really don't think there are any rules, I'm not afraid of the digital world. I'm not afraid of a Radio Shack microphone. I'm not afraid of sticking microphones inside a drum case and seeing what that sounds like. It's just all a big experiment.
That's cool. It sounds like the Good Vibrations.
It is. Actually, Dan Molad, the guy that produced the record, said, this is like a weird Brian Wilson blues record, that song. And that was fun. It's funny that you bring that up because that's exactly what he said.
From the album Undivided Heart and Soul, that's our guest, J.D. McPherson and Bloodhound Rock. And we just heard him tell us how that song was pieced together.
One thing I noticed listening to this record, it feels, I know you guys toured for a ton on the first album when it initially came out, and then even on Rounder. And it took a while for the second album to come around. This feels, and maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like you're even more comfortable. It feels like maybe it's the most comfortable I've heard you.
So yes, it is, but it was very uncomfortable getting to that point. It was a lot of discomfort followed by sort of a relief, it was really, really hard to get this record made. And like I said, almost everything that could have gone wrong did. And not only just in reality, but in my head, I was really hard to sort of make things mesh. But now that it's done, I'm really proud of it. And it's just another album. And I'm not sure what the next thing is going to be like, but I'm very proud of this one.
I remember when I first got the single for Lucky Penny, I sent you out a text, and man, I love this. I had no idea. And you said it's a little fuzzier than normal. How's the response been from folks that familiar with your first two records, and then this one, which keeps some of the core, but definitely expands on it?
Well, I can only speak for people at the shows because I don't use social media, so I have no idea what people are saying on the internet, which that doesn't really bother me anyway. I mean, that's fine. But the shows have been great. I mean, the shows are wonderful since we released, and and then there's friends in different towns that'll come up and they'll say, sometimes they'll surprise me by saying that they really like this or that, and I'm like, all right, cool. And I think the main thing is that knowing how I feel about the music, it's not coming from a place of I'm gonna purposely throw some kind of monkey wrench in there. It's like I just want to. What really happened was I started off on this little journey in Austin, Texas, by buying a 1961 Supro dual tone, which is the one that Link Ray's holding in all the pictures. Ever since I got that guitar, man, everything that was coming out was ratty sounding. It was like, so the more, like, it's funny, like people say guitars have songs in them. That guitar had a record in it for sure. So keep me out of the music stores, or don't put an accordion in my hand because I don't know what's going to happen.
This lucky penny's been nothing but bad luck. Bad luck. Bad luck.
Stay tuned for more with J.D. McPherson coming up. It's your source for rockabilly, blues, early country, early rock and roll, Ameripolitan music. This is the Rockabilly N Blues Radio Hour. Our guest this week is J.D. McPherson. We've been chatting about his latest project, Undivided Heart and Soul, on New West Records. We're going to wrap things up with him in just a moment, as well as get a song request from him. But first, let's hear a track from an album he produced for the Cactus Blossoms. The first time I saw them live was at a show they were opening for JD. This is from the album You're Dreaming, and the track, Mississippi.
Hey, this is Paige, and I'm Jack from the Cactus Blossoms. You're listening to our friend Jammin' James Riley on the Rockabilly N Blues Radio Hour.
I'm going down to the sea. M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P. I watch the sun, yellow and brown, sinking suns in every town. My angel sings down to me. She's somewhere on the shore waiting for me, with her wet hair and sandy gown, singing songs, waves of sound. There's a dive I know on River Street. Go on in and take my mirror, I see flashes of you on the surface.